Most men think cheating starts with a kiss, or a hotel room, or the moment another man enters the picture. But that's not where betrayal begins. It begins much earlier. It begins the moment she emotionally leaves the relationship, while still pretending everything is normal. The truth is, when someone cheats, their behavior begins leaking clues long before the truth comes out. Tiny changes, strange patterns, moments that don't quite make sense. Today, we're breaking down 10 signs she's cheating. But understand this, one sign alone means nothing. 2 might be coincidence. But when several appear together, the truth usually isn't far behind. And the last sign is the one most men feel first, yet ignore the longest. Sign number 10. Sudden image upgrade. The first shift usually looks positive. She suddenly becomes obsessed with improving her appearance. New outfits, new makeup, new fitness routine. Maybe she starts going to the gym more often than usual. Now improving yourself is healthy. But here's the strange part. She doesn't share the excitement with you. She doesn't invite you. She doesn't ask your opinion. It feels like she's preparing for attention, but not from the man she's already with. When someone new enters the picture, the brain enters a second honeymoon phase. Energy spikes, motivation spikes, and suddenly she wants to look her absolute best again. But the next sign is even more telling. Sign number 9. Her phone becomes a fortress. The phone used to sit anywhere, on the couch, on the kitchen counter, on the nightstand. But now something changes. The phone is always face down, always within reach, always locked. Notifications disappear quickly, and sometimes you notice apps you've never seen before, private messaging apps, disappearing messages, or conversations that never stay visible for long. Modern cheating rarely begins in person. It begins digitally. Late-night conversations, private jokes, emotional connections forming behind a screen. But strangely, sometimes the next sign looks like the opposite of cheating. Sign number 8. She becomes unusually nice. This one confuses a lot of men, because suddenly she becomes more affectionate, more attentive, more sexual, more generous. She buys you things, compliments you more, acts sweeter than usual. Most men think things are finally getting better. But sometimes this is what psychologists call a guilt spike. A person trying to balance the emotional scale after doing something they know is wrong. It doesn't always mean cheating, but when combined with the other signs, it becomes difficult to ignore. And soon after this phase, something darker usually appears. Sign number 7. Constant criticism. Suddenly, everything about you becomes a problem. Your habits, your job, your appearance, your personality. Things she once accepted now trigger arguments. Why? Because when someone cheats, they often need emotional distance from the partner they betrayed. The easiest way to create that distance is criticism. If you become the problem, their behavior becomes easier to justify. But sometimes it goes even further. Sign number 6. She accuses you of cheating. This is one of the oldest psychological tricks in human behavior. The guilty mind often points the finger first. Suddenly she becomes suspicious of you, questions your whereabouts, accuses you of flirting, suggests you might be cheating. Why? Because shifting the spotlight away from herself creates confusion. If you're defending yourself, you're not questioning her. But the next sign begins changing the structure of the relationship itself. Sign number 5. New friends you've never met. She begins mentioning new names, coworkers, friends, people you've never met. At first it sounds normal, but something feels different. You're not included in the plans. You're not invited to the gatherings. Her social life begins expanding. without you in it, and slowly, you start realizing she's building a world that doesn't require your presence. But the next sign reveals something even stranger. Sign number 4. New interests that didn't come from you. Suddenly, she likes music she never liked before. New slang enters her vocabulary. New hobbies appear out of nowhere. New movies, new foods, new jokes. Where did these come from? Often, from the person she's been spending time with. People unconsciously absorb the interests of the person they're emotionally connected to, which leads to the next major shift. Sign number 3. The story of your relationship changes. This one hurts, because suddenly, the past gets rewritten. Trips you both enjoyed become bad memories. Arguments become exaggerated. Happy moments disappear from the narrative. You'll hear phrases like, "Things haven't been good for a long time." But you know that's not true. Just months ago, she was saying the opposite. When someone cheats, their mind tries to reduce guilt, so they rewrite history. If the relationship was always bad, then betrayal feels easier to justify. But eventually, the lies begin breaking down. Sign number 2. Her stories stop matching. One night she says she worked late. Later the story sounds different. Details shift. Timelines change. Small gaps appear. Maybe it's nothing. But over time, those gaps begin forming a pattern. Missing hours, inconsistent explanations, and suddenly, you realize something. The story keeps changing, because the truth never does. Which brings us to the most powerful sign of all. Sign number 1. Your gut already knows. Almost every man who discovers cheating says the same thing afterward. I already knew. Not logically, not consciously, but somewhere deep inside, something felt wrong. That gut feeling isn't insecurity. It's your brain recognizing patterns, tone changes, energy shifts, eye contact differences, thousands of tiny signals adding up. Your instincts are a pattern recognition machine, and when enough patterns break, your mind sounds the alarm. Most men ignore it, but the men who pay attention protect themselves early. Discovering betrayal can destroy a man or refine him. Weak men beg, they chase, they try to convince someone to stay loyal. But strong men understand something simple. Loyalty that must be forced was never loyalty to begin with. So instead of panic, they choose clarity. They observe. They stay calm. And if the truth reveals itself, they walk away with dignity. Because a man who respects himself never fights to keep someone who already chose someone else. Here's the rule every man eventually learns. Never ignore patterns. Never ignore disrespect. And never beg someone to value you. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. If this video gave you clarity, comment clarity below. I read every comment, and it tells me you're part of the men who refuse to stay blind. Share this to the person you know who also needs this. If you want more videos about psychology, relationships, and understanding modern behavior, like the video and subscribe to Void Response. Because here, we don't chase approval. We sharpen awareness. And awareness is power. I'll see you in the next video.